Okay, so here we are in Rishikesh, India, on the banks of Holy Mother Ganga, and we're here with Andrea Paige. And Andrea, last year we had the funnest interview. I think of all the interviews I've done, it was just outrageously fun. And so it's just a delight to have you here again.
Thank you for having me again. It's an honor.
Yeah, it's really nice. So Andrea, you grew up in Ohio, went to school at Ohio State, got the Buckeye colors here, and then you've spent so much time in India and Bali. You have a naturopathic medicine background, you're a yoga teacher. I mean, you really have
He read my bio.
No. You read your bio. No, I mean, you've just bridged all these different realms. And one thing that I really appreciate about your teachings is that you're looking at how to bring a holistic approach to yoga, living yoga in day-to-day life. So let's explore this a little bit more. So, I mean, you work with people around, it's not nutrition, and say why it's not nutrition.
I believe that nutritional science is way too reductionist because there's so much going on from the point of the seed itself of the plant to the soil that it's cultivated in, to how it's grown, to where on the tree it grew, for example, to how long it spent before it got to you, to how well you chewed it, frankly, what else was in your stomach, your own ability to absorb, the state of your nervous system as you ate. There's a much greater picture that nutritional science doesn't capture. So any time that we focus in and say, I need more vitamin B12 or whatever it is, it's not really relevant to the bigger picture. And so what I do, and I think you were asking about how I find the locus point between all of these different subjects, is that it's all one. It's all the same thing. And when I can take a big picture perspective, right, so that's going into, you could say, the higher self in a yogic sense, or the more expansive view, that I see the connection between all of it. And so when I teach, I teach from that point of connection where things are more similar than they are dissimilar. And through that union, through that yoga, we understand. It clicks.
So how, first of all, do you find that there's a difference for people coming from generalization, Western countries, and people from India or Bali, on approaching this? Do you find that there's a big difference?
For sure.
Okay, so speak to us, and what is that difference?
So when we're looking at anything having to do with health or the body or things like this, in India it is said that people live in the first 3 chakras in the West. They live in the lower 3 chakras, whereas in more spiritual countries like India or Bali, where the spirit, the religion, however you want to weave it in, is such an integral part of the culture. It's your daily that you're making offerings. People tend to live in more of the upper 3 chakras.
Okay.
And of course, we have the union at the heart, the ability to connect. But this, let's say, attachment to the physical world and this physical body and this lifetime reality of more of a Judeo-Christian West, it's very temporal in essence. It's like, I only have this one lifetime. Whereas in the East, or really pan-East, so moving all the way out through East Asia, Far East Asia, we have this understanding of more than this lifetime, right?
Interesting.
The root in reincarnation. And so that gives less attachment, let's say, to the body. And more availability to, okay, well, this is just what's happening right now. This is my karma right now. This is how I'm walking through life today.
That's a big fundamental difference.
Yeah.
That's a huge one.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're walking around with the understanding that the soul is here over many, many, many lifetimes, and life is bringing me what I need to learn and embracing that in a way, then a person's going to live here. Whereas it's this life, that's it, and a big focus on materialization, and we're chasing that. So interesting. So what are some of the ramifications of both different ways?
For sure. So in the West we see, and this is, again, we're generalizing hugely because there are people from the East who live in the West and people like me from the West who live in the East. But in Western culture, which is really beginning to be the dominant globalized culture in the world of today, we see people who are taking their body really seriously, in a way more focused on fitness or more focused on that reductionist nutrition. Right? It's all about information, because we're really, really disconnected from our bodies. And my main work in anything I do in the health field is bringing people back into touch with their body, back into communication and relationship with their body, rather than dominating over it.
Okay, so a Western reductionist way would be, how do we dominate the body? How do we buy the right supplements? How do we do this and this in order to get what?
Exactly, in order to get perfection, health, all of these things that people are seeking that they won't have without the foundations or the fundamentals of health, which is what we discussed last year.
Right.
Remember hydration, elimination, restoration, and respiration?
Yeah. Yeah, say those again slowly. Just briefly touch on those.
Hydration, remember the proper 3 liters of water a day. Most people are dehydrated. This is the root of most disease in the world of today. Hydration. Elimination, pooping.
Yeah. And you have the whole background as the poo guru.
The poo guru, yes. And so eliminating is so super important, and the constipation, holding waste, or what we call in Ayurveda, amma, in the body, also gives a ripe ground, breeding ground for disease. Right? So that need to eliminate and keep a clear channel. Respiration, so not only obviously breathing, take a deep breath. I like your shirt, by the way.
Oh yeah, this was Sandra got this for me.
Beautiful.
Isn't that nice?
I love
She's
the
like,
red.
you're wearing blue every day. This is true.
And from there, the respiration also goes deeper into the cells. So that third foundation of health, respiration, is not only the deep breath that expands, it's also the cellular breath, the eating and pooping of the cells, the necessity to have chlorophyll, which is plant blood, the green, to come in to cleanse the cells, so the cellular respiration. And then from there, restoration, relaxing.
Right.
Right? We all need to just relax.
So, I mean, you're leading workshops all over the world.
Yes.
I mean, first of all, if you have an opportunity for one of Andrea's workshops, you definitely want to try this, because it's just interesting to reshift the focus. Okay, I'm a soul in this body. I need to take care of the, well, is this the language you would use? Take care of this body while the soul is in it?
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, the example that's been given many times is, imagine that you had a Maserati or a Lamborghini. Right? This is your vehicle that your spirit is driving through life. And so if you did have a Lamborghini, which is this precious, right, valuable body, then you would clean it well. You would make sure it has the best fuel available. You would make sure not to drive it all the time. You would give it restoration periods. And you would have an upkeep quite high, and you would definitely read the user manual.
Yeah, right.
And so that's what I provide to the world, is a user manual for this human body, which is our Lamborghini.
Okay, and do you find a shift working with people from the West where they're starting to have a more holistic view of their life? You know, that yoga is far more than just asanas. It's integrated with the food, relationship with food, with water, with elimination. And do you find that people then start to make a shift to experiencing, moving from a materialistic focus in lower chakras to the higher?
For sure, for sure. And I think that that's a healthy way to move, because what we see in the East, and you asked about ramifications before, of living, let's say, in the upper 3 chakras, is people don't pay very much attention to their body. They eat whatever they want, right? And so now we see obesity, heart disease, autoimmune diseases, right, cancer.
In the East?
In the East, skyrocketing at levels never before. And this has to do with an academic concept that I did my master's field research on, the nutrition transition, this change in diet that happened over the past 100 years in the West, right? Lifestyle and diet change resulted in a rise in disease.
In the West?
In the West, over 100 years. And in the East, in less developed countries all over the world, so let's include the southern parts of the world, if that's sub-Saharan Africa or South America, it's happened over the past 30 years, where we see Coca-Cola, Frito-Lay, we see it everywhere.
Interesting. So this globalization is bringing...
It's bringing this change in lifestyle and diet that's manifesting disease. So people go from more of a plant-based, whole foods, natural, right, really simple diet that their ancestors ate for generations before, definitely seasonal, locally sourced, all of this, to a diet that's higher in packaged processed foods, right, imported from the multinational corporations, a diet that's higher in any refined products like white sugar or wheat flour, right? And then a diet higher in processed hydrogenated oils as well as meat.
Right. It's just interesting. One of the yogis I really appreciate, Michael Singer, in one of his books, he talked about early on, he realized when he was going deeper into yoga meditation, his diet greatly affected his ability to have a more profound experience internally. And this in terms of the East and West back and forth, and then meanwhile we've got yoga and meditation coming from the East to the West. We've got Coca-Cola and Frito-Lays and Kentucky Fried Chicken and McDonald's going to East.
And we're meeting in the heart chakra, Philip.
We're meeting in the heart chakra. And actually, there's positive both ways.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Yogananda used to talk about the East brings in, you know, the great spirituality, and the West brings in the efficiency and the effectiveness, and, you know, manifestation of being able to really address some, you know, hardships, material hardships. So there's a balance in here, and it all comes to the individual practice. You know, it's not just massive societal trends. It's like, how can each of us integrate the best of both East and West?
Yeah.
And so in your workshops, how would you help a person starting to integrate the best of the
So I teach workshops. I mostly hold retreats, whether that's a yoga teacher training at the 200 or the 300 hour level, or a fasting retreat, and I have a lot of fasting retreats over the world. But through this, especially with the fasting retreats, we get the opportunity to go without. And whenever we take time away from what's normal, we have an opportunity and space to reflect upon life as it is. I mean, why are we here? What are we doing? What is the meaning of this lifetime? How are we contributing? How are we choosing to show up? Where is our subconscious playing or speaking? And where do we have the opportunity to bring in the yoga and the mindfulness and choosing really this lifetime to perhaps be one of our last of our incarnations?
Right. Now that's a profound different, having that orientation of really identifying with the soul. Like, I am the soul. People say, I am the body, I am the emotions. No, it's like, instead of saying, I have a soul, I am the soul.
Yeah.
And to come into sacred relationship, what's the relationship between, and there's no other there. And then how to really grow as much as possible. So this workshop really invites people, it sounds like the retreats invite people into the sacred relationship.
Yeah.
And then how is that relationship, how can it shift some of the daily habits?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, people come and transform. They leave a different person. So it's not just about the habits changing. It's not about what you're doing changing. It's the place from which you're looking has changed.
Thank you.
And so that shift in perspective, that shift in worldview is really the gift that I'm here perhaps to deliver to the world, is the facilitation of that shifting process.
Beautiful. How can people find out? I mean, you have quite a bit of material available so how
just Google my name, Andrea Paige. Right now my website's liveforvitality.com. That may be redirected to a different...
liveforvitality.com, Andrea Paige, P-A-I-G-E.
P-A-I-G-E, yes.
And you have podcasts and...
I have tons of free podcasts available online. A lot of my recorded lectures, interviews that I do with people, ways to expand the worldview and shift the perspective, not only in relationship to health, but in everything in our life. So in relationship, I have some podcasts on relationship, some hot topics on like monogamy, things like that, to how we live. I historically, earlier in my life, was a huge environmentalist. And so the mindfulness in terms of what is this fabric made out of that I'm wearing? What was the industry behind it, right? A background in globalization studies, looking at the effect that we have in the world and transforming our life to be one that supports our values, bringing the mindfulness that we have in yoga to every single breath we take during the day.
Beautiful. I'm from Indiana. You're from Ohio. This is
We're neighbors.
No, neighbors, Midwest, you know. And I love Midwestern values and the wholesomeness and, you know, family love. And then to see how you really have been following this path in your life of really making accessible the deep science, the deep spirituality into holistic living. Well, any closing comments?
It's all one. It's all one. I mean, the more that we can perhaps separate ourselves from ourselves, not in a way where we're abandoning, but that we're watching, that we are a witness, and that we have that accountability most deeply to ourselves is the most important thing that we can do. And perhaps a tool that I'd like to offer to people as a way to hold that accountability is journaling.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Not in the way where it's like, dear diary, today I. It's this intensive stream of consciousness, put pen to paper and don't put it down until something's been transmitted. And that's tapping into the flow, which is my current field of interest.
Beautiful,
flow
beautiful.
state.
And I just love it. So all this enhances a person's relationship with yoga. And yoga becomes life.
Yoga is life, right? There is no relationship with yoga. You live it.
It lives, yeah,
It
beautiful.
lives through you,
It
yeah.
lives- Well, Andrea, Guru. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh.